so if you cannot hear us, please send us a message, and so we can remedy that. All right. This is Sandra Flores. I'm the Senior Program Officer for the Fresno Regional Foundation. Also with us in the room is Michelle Murphy, our Foundation Support Specialist, and Sarah Sobral, also a Foundation Support Specialist for programs. This is currently the program staff that will be assisting all applicants during this grant cycle and for all grant cycles. We're going to get started with a poll, so very quickly, please respond. The first question is, what's our first question, Michelle?
Does your organization serve urban or rural communities?
Okay, does your organization serve rural or urban communities? Please select. We got people for both, yes. One of the options, here we go. Did we get mostly everybody replying? 81%. Okay, let's see what the results of that are. We've got 19% urban, 15% rural, 65% both. Okay, let's go to the next question. Go on, Michelle.
Is your organization involved in any community initiative?
Can everybody see the question? We don't remain in response. Is your organization involved in any community initiative? Community, attendees are viewing poll in progress. This poll must be closed to enable screen sharing. Internet flow, okay. No, close that out, everybody. So, what do we, result? 82% yes for majority view. That's good to know. And then the last question, and I believe the question is, are you the person who's been leading the organization? We're having a little delay with our internet. Let's see, everybody. All right. Are we getting everybody to respond? We're not seeing responses. Can everybody see the poll? Let's see. Screen won't let me answer. Huh. But sure, yeah. Okay, we're having some showing my screen when we Zoom. All right. Oh, here we go. Audience view 97, 96. Okay, here we go. 100% viewed. So do you want to recast that poll? Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to get a response from that last one. Maybe a quick yes or no from everybody. Just type it to us. I'd like to get a sense of how many of you are going to be writing the grant to us. So yes, yes, I'm getting one no. Who is the no? Let's look at who the no is. Okay, so I see Lourdes is not part of writing the grant. We certainly want to make sure that we have the people interested in applying, organizations interested in applying, that this information is getting to the correct people, since this is such a targeted grant-making initiative. So while we will certainly mark that Madera MCCJ is listed as an organization who has participated in the mandatory information sessions, we would encourage the person or people from your organization to listen to the recorded webinar once it's posted by Friday, so that they could hear all the details for themselves. It's very important that we have the correct staff people applying, listening to this information, asking questions before they apply. Okay, we're going to go on now. Today's agenda, we're going to go over a little bit about FRF. We're going to talk about the fund for the San Joaquin Valley. You saw our little video there. We're going to certainly go over the 2013 High Impact Focus. We will go over funding priorities for this year. We will talk about how to apply, and we will take questions and answers. And we'll take them throughout this session, but certainly by the end we want to make sure that everybody is clear about this funding priority. Okay, about FRF. We are a community foundation. We're serving the San Joaquin Valley for more than 45 years. I think this is our 47th year. Our regional footprint includes Fresno, Tulare, Kings, Madera, Merced, and Mariposa counties. Our assets are over $55,000. There we go. And we are a grant-making institution. We do not receive government money or public funding. Our assets are built on local donors and philanthropists who are interested in investing in the Central Valley through philanthropy. Okay, let's go on to our grant cycle. In 2008, the foundation launched a comprehensive competitive grant-making program. We have in that grant-making program arts and culture, which is the first, usually launched in the first quarter of the year. Youth is the second grant cycle of the year. Human services, which is focused on capacity building. And under the human services grant cycle, we also run a teen pregnancy prevention grant-making initiative. Our fourth grant cycle is the environment, which is concurrently running with High Impact, and High Impact is our fifth. So in 2008, when we launched the grant-making program, the new grant-making program, we were involved with a cohort of community foundations with the Irvine Foundation. We were part of that cohort for 6 years. It ended in 2010, 2011. And at the end of that cohort, which Irvine worked with several other community foundations trying to strengthen the community foundations so that they would be stronger leaders in their regions. About a year later, when the cohort ended, our program officer came to us with a concept paper, and that concept paper had two goals in it. What would issue-based grant making look like, and how can we build a $20 million to sustain the issue-based grant making in a competitive grant cycle. So that concept paper led to a grant submission to Irvine, and it was launched. The grant was awarded. It was launched with $3 million from the James Irvine Foundation over 3 years. The goal to build a $20 million endowment so that we could re-grant $1 million a year to address the most critical issue, this issue-based grant making. And in year 1, which was in 2012, we awarded $600,000. This is year 2 of this grant making initiative. We have $700,000 available, and in year 3, we will also have $700,000 available. So in year 1, which was last year, we put together an advisory committee. The advisory committee criteria, part of it we have listed here. We wanted committee members who had a deep local knowledge of the region, who represented a wide range of backgrounds, who had expertise on complex issues, diverse perspectives, represents the full geography of the valley. And that committee took the first 9 months of last year to identify the issue. And if you were on the call a little bit early, you saw the video that talked about the process. This year, we have 4 committee members who returned to the committee, and we have 5 new committee members. This year, the committee reviewed what the committee last year reviewed, so the research material. This year's committee has already participated in site visits of the first group of grantees from 2012. They have reviewed the applications from last year. They understand that they are ambassadors for the fund, and they understand that their grant-making support will help us build the endowment. So the next slide will list our 2013 committee members and the organizations they're from. They are also listed on the website with their bios. Beneath the committee's bios, you will see 2012 grantees listed. The committee, again, reviewed a tremendous amount of data and research. They reviewed what last year's committee reviewed. They, again, part of their role was to decide, are we still on the same track for this year in terms of the issue? They said yes. They have also, they understand that this year it is very important to track our progress. We have 1 set of grantees. We're coming up on another set of grantees for 2013. So we've had, our meetings have centered around demonstrating impact and progress. We've also seen a significant increase of the FRF board in our committee meetings because, again, the foundation understands that building the $20 million endowment is critical to this effort. And so our board is attempting to understand the nuances of the grant making and integrating it in the asset development strategies. So some of the local data that the committee has reviewed and we like sharing in these presentations is reinforcing the issue that we have selected to address through high impact. And in the 6-county footprint, here's the data on students that are low income in our region, and then low-income students not reading by 3rd grade. Let's go on to the next slide. For Fresno County, we added the high school graduate rate, but so high school graduates not CSU, UC ready. That's for Fresno County. Let's go on to Tulare County. There you have it. Let's go on to Madera. And this PowerPoint and these slides will be available on the website, as will this webinar recording will be on there. So let's go on to the next county. That's Madera, Merced, and then Kings. Oh, here we go. So last year, there were more than 65,000 advertised job openings in 2012 in the Valley that required at least a bachelor's degree. However, there were only about 13,000 workers age 25 that had at least a bachelor's degree. So the need in the region, I think this particular piece of data reflected the education gap between the needs of employers in the Valley and the skills of job-seeking workers. You know, it shows us that we have a huge economic problem with a lack of highly educated workforce. So starting with the large goals of a thriving economy and more income for families, we trace the path back to the years 0 to 8 as a key starting point. So investing upstream, which is 0 to 8 continuum, or our focus, is the what, is success, how we support families and children. 0 to 8 for success by the 3rd grade is the what. Equally important in this process is the how we are going to get there and how this grant making will support this work. And as last year, this approach will involve collective impact. So we're going to show a video. There we go. Okay, we really like that video. We think that it is a great example of the collective impact approach. We want to also share that we understand that many of the communities, community benefit organizations and their partners are already working in this way. The collective impact approach is new to foundations. So we certainly understand that, especially in smaller communities, marginalized communities, partners, systems, organizations, the police department, sheriff, have a limited amount of resources, and the way that they integrate their work is so that they can maximize those resources and find those sustainable solutions within their communities. So many of you are familiar with this approach. Again, we understand that, we've learned that, and this is still new to the foundation world in how you fund it and how you measure progress. That's the journey we're currently on. So the 0 to 8, again, is the what. The collective impact is the how. And we're going to pause to take questions. So you can certainly type them in while I'm talking or type them in now. So we're clear on what high impact is and the approach for it for the foundation. So I'm going to go on to the next slide, and please type in your questions. I will pause and take them if it's pertaining to anything that we've shared already. So high impact for 2013. We understand that this is year 2 of forever. So there are some changes, and there are some changes because we understand in this second year that we have identified, we feel very confident and good about the issue that has been selected and carrying on that path. We are really trying to focus on the asset development and integrating the grant making, how effective the grant making is with the asset development communication and strategy. So here are a few things that are the same. So the grantees for 2012, several of them received 2-year grants. So they are still finishing up their first year, and then in the second year, those projects and programs will remain the same. So the funding scenarios from last year will remain the same in this year too. Site visits demonstrated significant progress and bright spots. The issue is the same as last year, how we support families and children 0 to 8 for success by the 3rd grade. The approach is the same. So we remain rooted and grounded in the research, and we feel very confident that this is a good direction for us. Some things that are different. We had 4 funding scenarios last year. We just have 1 this year. And we feel that the tracking our progress, measuring our progress, tracking it is going to be critical this year. So we'll go over the impact overview, high impact overview. So because based on the site visits this year, the committee will use its discretion to award up to $75,000 to a 2012 grantee to deepen that partnership. That invitation will go to a 2012 grantee, and that grantee will have to go through the application process. Also, the committee recommended to the board, and the board approved, that $125,000 of the $700,000 available would be allocated to an entity, a firm, to help us with high-impact research and analysis. So $75,000 the committee will use to invite a 2012 grantee to deepen that partnership, $125,000 for an entity to help us with high-impact research and analysis that would not only include the data we will receive from grantees, but include all of the initiatives that are involved in this region. We want to integrate that so it's informing the committee and also informing the community about how we are tracking progress. And then lastly, $500,000 will be used for competitive grants. So that totals $700,000 for 2013. And I think we may have a question. Do we have a question?
The question is, if our project relates to arts and culture as well as also targets K through 3rd grade children, will this be eligible?
So we will, I think we will get to answering that question specifically when we get to the guidelines for this year. I will emphasize that the grantee or grantees awarded this year have to demonstrate how they are supporting families and the children for success by 3rd grade. Okay, so it doesn't matter what kind of program it is. if you are measuring and you are collecting the data, you and your partners are collecting the data to demonstrate that impact, and you can demonstrate it because the program has been in place, you've been collecting your data, and you can demonstrate how you are improving student success, then it would align. Okay, but we will talk more about that, and I will answer those questions as they come up if anybody else has them. All right, let's go to the Deepen Grantee Partnership. So FRF will deepen our partnership with the specific communities based on the first round of grants awarded in 2012. The advisory committee may recommend a grant of $75,000 to at least one 2012 high-impact grantee for a second year. This grantee will go through the grant application process. So last year we said in the guidelines, in future funding rounds, we will likely deepen our partnership with specific communities based on this first round of grants, and the committee is exercising that discretion. So let's go on to the next high-impact research and analysis. The High Impact Advisory Committee has allocated $125,000 to establish a partnership with an entity with the necessary skills, tools, relationships, and resources to conduct research on existing 0 to 8 efforts and data analysis on the work of FRS current and future grantees. I need to emphasize the conversation and the direction of the 2013 Advisory Committee. Measurement and tracking our progress has been the primary focus of the committee's conversation. And based on all of the discussions and their recommendation to our board, which the board approved, is that we're going to need some outside expertise and help to do this. So the foundation will take the lead. We're treating this like we treat how we select a consultant for helping us for strategic planning, or any other type of consultant that the foundation relies on. This is not an all-out competitive process, although we will receive several proposals from entities, and we certainly will look at local entities who are qualified to do this work. But the committee has provided a very detailed scope of work, and so the foundation will take the lead to receive a few proposals, share them with the committee, and we will select an entity to help us in this process. So the High Impact Committee felt that in order for the committee to make the best decisions and to be informed about everything that's going on in the region, that we needed this outside expertise. So this will get started, the RFQ, the foundation will establish a request for qualifications. We will get started on it as soon as I'm done with information sessions this week. And that will probably this week, at the end of this week or next week, we will start on identifying the entity that will be helping the foundation. Okay, now 2013 competitive grant opportunity. So a grant, one or several grants in the range of $100,000 to $500,000 over 2 years will be awarded this year in 2013. And they will be this grant will be for organizations that are effectively collaborating with others, addressing gaps and aligning services in the educational pipeline. For organizations that want to align their services with other organizations, develop a new program to address a gap in the educational pipeline, or collaborate with other organizations. I'm going to restate that. To develop a new program to address a gap in the educational pipeline. So this is in the expectation from the committee is that there is something in place already, and anything new will be added to what is in place already. Okay? So funding could be used to align, strategically build on other efforts, develop a new program that addresses a gap, integrate services with other organizations. The integration piece, I want to emphasize that it's critical. The committee is not looking for standalone programs. And so an example of integration, I'm going to use early child care provider. Maybe they have 20 children from 1 to 4. And maybe those children, if the child care provider understands which kindergarten, which school district they'll be flowing into, that the child care provider is preparing those children for kindergarten based on the assessment testing of that particular school district, kindergarten assessment. That is an integration. That's considered integration. So it's not just curriculum for the sake of curriculum, and it's really not preparing that child for the kindergarten class that they will be entering, but for child care providers to understand the kindergarten requirements and the assessment testing that will take place, and that their curriculum is supporting that so that we have kindergartners ready for school. That is an example of integration. Another example of integration, I'm going to use teen pregnancy prevention. Teen Success has a model that works with parenting moms who are in high school. So their goal is, 1, they want to delay a second pregnancy. 2, they want the teen mothers to graduate high school. And 3, they want them to get into a career technical education program or into college. Those are the 3 primary goals of Teen Success. So what they do is then find partners who are working with youth and parenting moms, and whatever the curriculum that they're using in their with organizations, so they work with Nuevo Comienzo with a very specific curriculum, and they integrate the programs. They build on the success of what Nuevo Comienzo is doing. They work with Fresno Barrios Unidos. It's a different curriculum, a different program for teen pregnancy prevention. It doesn't matter. They understand the curriculum, and they build on the success of what Fresno Barrios Unidos is doing. So the organization mutually reinforces one another and integrates their very clear approach to working with parenting moms, and they partner with various organizations. Doesn't matter what their program is, but they work with them in such a way to understand the work, build the partnerships, and they integrate their curriculum with their partners. Those are 2 examples of integration. All right, let's go on to what funding could be used for this grant cycle. Funding could be used to also scale, reach more families and children, or expand geographic reach, and strengthen or improve existing services or add a new component to the work. Here I'm going to emphasize the committee's intent to reach a large number of students and families, which is why the committee increased the grant range to $500,000. This committee will consider a $500,000 grant request over 2 years. However, there are some very specific thresholds that need to be met, and understanding that they want to reach a very large number of students, then the partnership with the school district is going to be very important. So the resources, the broader grant range, the committee thought the resources are needed to scale and reach the number of families and students that they want. And we will talk a little bit more about, I'm sure many of you will have questions about exactly what that means, or the types of proposals they would consider. And for anybody who's just wondering, we essentially combined our alignment and accelerator grants from 2012 into one grant cycle. So this funding is for existing programs that are in place You can add pieces to it that are new, but essentially they want something. The committee wants to review programs and services that are already in place and have demonstrated impact and progress. Okay? That is the emphasis. Any new component should be just that, a component, not an entirely new program. You can certainly submit and try, but it's not going to be the most competitive. They want to invest in programs and services that are already in place, and based on your experience, you're adding pieces to strengthen or accelerate your work, because there are gaps and these resources could be used to fill those gaps. All right. I think we're getting some questions. I'm going to stop here before I go on to the next slide. So what's the first question?
Is partnering with a school considered a partnership, or does it need to be other nonprofit organizations?
So a school is definitely a critical partner, and I think in the guidelines it actually says you must be partnering with the school district, but understanding that one organization, one nonprofit organization, one community benefit organization cannot do everything. Our experience has been that this has been more than a two-entity partnership. So unless you can demonstrate as an organization that you and the school district have been doing this work for a long period of time, and you've got the data to prove your impact, that's great. But we understand that we're not just working with the students, we're working with the families, and so that usually requires additional support that either the school is not providing or another partner organization is providing specifically. So I hope that answers your question. Here's another one.
Do the programs need to be in place in Fresno County, or can they be existing in other areas?
So our regional footprint are the 6 counties that we listed. That's Fresno, Madera, Tulare, Merced, Mariposa, and Kings County. So it doesn't have to just be in Fresno. Do we have another question?
Can you partner with multiple school districts?
Yes. And we encourage that because, again, the committee is looking for a large number of students and families to be served. Okay, so if you have partnerships with multiple school districts, yes, it will get to the numbers that the committee is trying to reach. Are we good for right now? Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Well, we are open to things that we haven't read about or know about or learn about. We want to learn about bright spots in the community. So we don't know exactly. I've given you some examples of integration. I've given you some examples of the types of partnerships so far, and I'm sure we will provide a few more of those examples. But we are pretty clear on what this funding will not do. This funding is not for capital projects. It will not be used for building a playground. This funding is not for non-integrated programs, so standalone reading programs, and your reading program could be a 90% success rate. But if partners, once the youth are out of your program, if there is nobody building on your success, it is considered a standalone program. So, and this funding is not for standalone programs. And this funding is not for materials only. So just buying books is not sufficient. This is not the strategy and not the goal of this funding. Work must be tied to regional efforts to improve outcomes for children and families. All right, we're going to show one last video, and then we're going to take a few more questions if any have been submitted. So let's get that video started.
Collective impact. Diverse organizations coming together to solve a complex social problem. Traditionally, nonprofits have operated in isolation from one another. pursuing their goals independently. But complex, large-scale problems require a coordinated, structured, and collaborative approach. Collective impact means creating alignment, commitment, policy, funding, trust, and coordinating across sectors: public, nonprofit, business, governments, foundations. Collective impact efforts typically have 5 conditions. Common agenda. This means all parties agree to shared goals and how to get there. Shared measurement, keeping track of the same things. Mutually reinforcing activities, each actor doing their own part, using their unique skills. Continuous communication, regularly sharing results with each other. Backbone organization, a support team that helps mobilize, coordinate, and facilitate to keep the goal in sight and the progress rolling. Channeling our collective strength, we can solve the world's toughest problems. Collective impact. Diverse organizations coming together to solve a complex social problem.
All right. Okay, so that is the last video on collective impact. I hope it emphasizes the intent of the committee to encourage applicants to work with diverse organizations and in a way that, that demonstrates integration, that you're sharing your data, everybody's on the same page on what the issue is, what the goal is that all the partners are trying to solve, and your plan. Everybody understands the plan and they are on board with their particular approach or piece of that solution. So we have a question here. Go ahead, Michelle.
Would you consider integrating services if you're funded through First 5 and social services?
Well, First 5 is a funder, so they don't run necessarily any programs. So, you know, it would be like the foundation funding the 2012 grantees. We are not a partner in the work that those communities that were funded. So they just provided a plan to us, and we are funding. The committee made recommendations based on the information. So we are a funding partner, but I wouldn't say a funder would not be a partner in the work as laid out here in the collective impact approach. And then what was the second half? So First 5 or social services. So if social services is actually part of one of your partners providing data and helping you track progress and convening meetings with you, and they are, you know, you're using their services to support families, then yes. If social services is a funder, then in the way that First 5 or the foundation is, then I wouldn't say it would be a partner in the solution. It's a funding partner. So based on just the question, I hope that provides a little clarification. Do we have another question? Go ahead.
Using the reading program example, can you explain what integrated and non-standalone programs might look like?
So using the, so a standalone program is with the early child care provider. If they are running curriculum and they have been running the same curriculum for 5 years, 10 years, and if the curriculum is, you know, great curriculum for them, but it is not preparing those students, those children, for the kindergarten class that they are entering. So they are not, let's say a child has been in child care for 2 or 3 years, they enter kindergarten and they are tested and deemed not ready for kindergarten. So there's a lot of remediation that's going on. That to me, would demonstrate an example of a child care provider and the curriculum as standalone. They're not working with another partner, in this case the school district, so that the school district can build on their success. Because the curriculum that they're providing and the school kindergarten assessment tests are not aligning in some way because those students are not kindergarten ready. I hope, does that provide some clarification?
Can you repeat the answer about the First Five and social services funding?
The answer, as I understood the question, was, is First Five considered a partner in this scenario? And if First Five is a funding partner, I would say then they are not considered a partner in the way we have laid out as partnerships, working together to address the solution. However, if you are working with First Five and they are part of your team and they are sharing data with you, then yes, certainly they could be considered that. But without knowing those details, I don't know if First Five or social services are strictly a partner in the sense that they're providing resources for the project or program. If it's just resource that they are providing, resources they are providing, then I would say they may not fit the criteria in the way that has just been laid out with an integrated approach with the effort. I hope that clarifies.
Can you give us a better idea about the number of children that the foundation wants to see served in 1 year?
Yeah. They didn't want to put a number on it. I can tell you it's a large number. We're looking, they'd love to see 10,000. They'd love to see, 20,000. But they didn't put a number on purpose because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know if that's realistic or not. We don't know what's out there. We don't know the scale that organizations are working in. So again, this is year 2 of forever for us. Well, last year we wanted a very specific, you tell us the number in a community, and so those grant sizes were commensurate with the number of children and families that are being served. That will remain the same. So $500,000, we want a number commensurate with that amount, and we're going to leave it to you to say. But I want to emphasize a very, very large number, which is the partnership with the school district is going to be very important. And toward that end, and the guidelines, the grant opportunity, it's on page 2 of the guidelines. It says, FRF plans to award up to $500,000 in 2013 to help children in the San Joaquin Valley succeed by school by the end of 3rd grade. The grant range from $100,000 to $500,000 for 2 years. Collaboration is required between the grantee, school district, and other large educational providers. So the school district has to be a part of this, of any grant proposal submitted to the foundation. So I hope that answers the question about partnering with the school district. Go on.
I would like to confirm that if existing programs to be expanded are stronger than developing new programs.
You would like to confirm if existing programs to be expanded are stronger in consideration than developing a new program. I would say that the committee, the proposals that can demonstrate a track record in their work are going to be much more competitive. So as part of the track record with the work, that should inform about the gaps. And so anything new, we fully expect based on the work that there are things that don't align or are needed, or there are limitations to First Five funding. And so we hope that these resources could develop the pieces that are missing that could accelerate or accelerate your work to a higher level. So I think it's very important to demonstrate a track record of the programs and services that you're provided, and the gap any new pieces should just complement, enhance, enrich the work that's in place already. And I don't know that there has to be a new piece. I mean, there may be applications out there or programs out there that have it all down. It's a well-oiled machine, and there are no gaps, and that's fine too. But it would have to be demonstrated in the application then. So I hope that answers your question. The development of the programs to address gaps is just allowing applicants the space to use the resources for what they need. Okay? I hope that answers your question. I'm going to get on to, we'll collect, get to some more questions. We are coming down to the last 10 minutes. So applicants must, so here we're going to selection criteria. Applicants must work in low-income communities with persistently lowest achieving schools and or schools in program improvement years 2+. There is a link on this criteria on the website that will take you directly to this California Department of Education. And if your school is not on there, then your school does not, you're not going to qualify for this, you're not going to meet this threshold. So you've got to make certain that the school that you're partnering with is on the list as a persistently lowest achieving school in program improvement in years 2 or more. Also, applicants must predominantly serve or benefit children and families in the years leading up to and through the 3rd grade. Additional selection criteria and factors in the application that will be considered: policy issues, collaboration, educational pipeline and 0 to 8 continuum, data, programs customized to target populations, a proven expertise. So while you could have new components, overall you should be submitting applicants. The most competitive applications will demonstrate a proven expertise in providing services and implementing their programs. The organization should have a strong, the applying organization should have a strong capacity. There should be a strong rationale for your work, and of course alignment with your partners. So let's go on to geography. So I mentioned, I referred to this last year in last year's guidelines, and again this year. We believe that this type of integrated approach will be most successful if we concentrate our resources in a few specific communities. We recognize how important it is for organizations, families, and schools to work together to support one another's efforts and address gaps. We are mindful of spreading these relatively small resources too thin. We invite proposals from individual efforts throughout the San Joaquin Valley, specifically Fresno, Tulare, Kings, Madera, Mariposa, and Merced counties. We are interested in valley-wide outreach so that we might identify bright spots and communities that are already beginning to coordinate, align, and mutually support the educational success of children living in poverty. In future funding rounds, we will likely deepen our partnership with specific communities based on this year's round of grants as like last year. Applying to FRF. Okay, so we have a different process this year. We are adding a letter of interest process. So here are the dates. Here's step 1. Let's go to step 1. Submit a letter of interest that is due September 11th. It's 3 pages, and so the template is available on the website right now, and we'll get Michelle to bring that up for you so that you could review. We will notify those who are invited to apply, to submit a full application by September 20th. And then those applications and the organization profile forms will have the same due date of October 18th. So the full applications will be submitted by October 18th. So September 11th, the 3-page letter of interest are due. You will know whether you're invited to an application or not by September 20th. And then the full applications and the organization profile forms have the same deadline date of October 18th. And once, if you are invited to a full application and you're new to the foundation, we will go over the step-by-step organization profile form and the application. I'm going to go over eligibility and restrictions. Who can receive an application from us? So, oh, here we go. First, let's do the letter. Here's the letter of interest. Please adhere to this format. It's very simple, but please adhere to it. So at the very top corner with the executive director, CEO, the name, the address. And then we had limited the general information to 2 paragraphs. We have limited the quick facts about the proposed project and program to 1 paragraph. And then that should allow 2.5 pages with the 2 questions and the conclusion. Okay, so the LOI process is new to us, and so we've implemented it in the Human Services grant cycle recently. And so we found that many organizations go on and on about how wonderful and the reach of the organization while not getting to the meat. And this is really going to be the information provided in the LOI is going to either get you to the next level, to the application, being invited to an application. So we want to limit the information on the organization and past work. So please adhere to the 2-paragraph limit in the general information, 1-paragraph limit in the quick facts. And then you have, their suggestions for the rest of it. Okay? And then the corner, I want to bring your attention to the very bottom left-hand corner. Please adhere to that format. So let's go on to eligibility and restrictions. So we can award to organizations who are a 501c3 nonprofit status, to government agencies, community groups with fiscal agents, public agencies, educational institutions, services programs provided in Fresno, Madera, Tulare, Merced, Mariposa, and Kings County. Additionally, let's go, the foundation will measure health by the 990s. Let me go on to the next, oh, we got it there. 990s, board-reviewed financial statements, gross, those organizations with gross receipts of $500,000 or more, we require an external audit. We review the organization budget, board composition, minimum. We require a minimum of 5 board members. And then we also, so through, aside from any competitive process, every organization can go onto our online grant application process website and begin to and get a username and password so you can start this process. We like to point out that we will not fund an organization for previously incurred expenses. We won't fund an organization for fundraising on behalf of another organization. We won't fund endowments. We won't fund institutions limiting their services to persons of a single religious sect or denomination. And we do not give grants to individuals. So if you decide to go on Olga and create a user login, we always recommend that you go to the reporting requirements and review the final report, the template questions, especially the data that you'll be collecting, that we request in a final report or interim report. Organizations should be prepared to comply with all reporting requirements at the end of the grant period. You will be asked to provide electronic copies of press releases or media contacts resulting from the grant award, and failure to submit a final report may disqualify the grantee from future funding requests. All right, now we're going to take some more questions. So go ahead, Michelle.
We've had a few questions about how the advisory committee will be looking at outcomes and what you're looking for in assessment after the reporting.
So we hope that you tell us how you are determining outcomes, that your plan includes how you're measuring what you're addressing and how you are tracking your progress. So I know you may be looking for more prescriptive communication from the foundation, but we want to allow the space for applicants to share with us what the need is in the community you're serving, how you are addressing that, and how you are tracking your own progress, how the data that you're collecting as part of your effort is informing your programming and process among your partners. So I'm not trying to be evasive. I am trying to convey what the committee expects in terms of the conversations we've had. So we hope that the most competitive applications will reflect how you yourselves have had these conversations among your partners and how you're collecting that data to inform it. So again, I'm not trying to be evasive, but the most competitive applications will demonstrate those things.
We have a question. When you talk about the programs also serving families, does that mean that the program has to provide resources for parents too? So your child care, kindergarten readiness, and reading program examples would not be good fits. That was just an example. You know, a program could be, let's say you're working in a community where most of the children are being taken care of by grandmas and aunts or, you know, somebody in the family. So in that case, you know, a gap in a program could be how you are training those home care providers to get their children ready for kindergarten. So that would be working with parents and grandparents and the child care provider themselves in those communities. So again, my example was just an example. It's not exclusive, but we feel that supporting parents in this process is going to be critical for sustaining the work and for recognizing their importance in their children's development before they even get to the school. So yes, parents serving families, that does mean programs. You're providing resources to parents in communities. Based on our experience, that parents aren't as engaged. If they're not engaged, it's because resources aren't there to get them engaged, or they don't have the staff to reach out to the parents. And so these resources could be used to do that, to hire somebody to specifically work with the parents in whatever manner that your experience, your programs, your projects, your partnerships dictate. So I hope that answers that question. Next. In meeting a large number of students, if the partnership school is on the list, do other schools in that district count as students reached?
So this, you're going to have to pull out for this application the children in 0 to 8. If you're working with the school district, those school districts have to be on this list. So if you're going to list 10 school sites, every single one of those 10 school sites need to be on the list. Now the district is different, you know, so Fresno Unified or Sanger Unified, or they're not going to have all persistently low, you know, sites. But it's going to be very important for you to include only those school sites that are on that list.
We still have some confusion about partnerships. So what would you be looking for in a partnership with the school and other community benefit organizations?
So the partnership with the school, one, is going to help you meet the persistently low achievement schools.
Okay, it will also help you reach the number of children that, the large number of children and families that the committee is trying to support this year. So I hope that fundamentally, I think that's the most obvious way to partner with the schools. Let's see, what's the other part of the question? I'm sorry. What you would be looking for in partnerships. So, but so there are limitations to the school, to where the school, what the school is doing. So if the school starts the relationship with the child once they enroll in a class, and so much of what we have read and what we've learned is that if they're not prepared before they come into the class, that's where the primary challenge is in our communities. And so partnerships then need to be with the school, understanding what is kindergarten readiness, what should they be doing in the first grade, what should be, you know, all of those expectations for each of those grade levels for those students, and how as a community we are supporting those efforts, as how we're supporting those families so that they understand what the criteria, what the thresholds are, how we are helping parents become engaged and confident so that they are supporting the principals, the teachers, the school sites, and what they could do at home to support, you know, student success. So those are the type of partnerships we're looking for in the most competitive proposals. Does that provide any clarification? I hope it does.
Can grant funds be used for staffing a project?
Yes, they can. So again, the list of schools, if you go to the eligibility criteria on the website, and it says, or the selection criteria, it says applicants must, after goes into the introduction. I believe if it's in your handout, it's going to be page 3, and it says selection criteria. Should your organization apply for a grant? It says we are looking to support organizations that deeply understand the educational pipeline in the San Joaquin Valley from birth to career, and that are looking for ways to align their services, close gaps, and remove barriers to children's success in that pipeline in the critical years leading up to and through the 3rd grade. As a threshold, applicants must work in low-income communities with persistently lowest achieving schools. See, and I have a website there right next to that bullet. Okay, and let's see.
Would new partnerships be eligible?
Yes, of course. I'm sure new partnerships would be eligible, especially when we're looking at gaps to be filled. So we hope that the resources could support, you know, the comprehensive plan, and any new partners coming in to do a new piece of that plan would certainly align.
If an existing program benefits kids K through 6 reaching all grades equally, would that preclude you from receiving your grant because of involvement with 4th through 6th grade?
I want to emphasize that this grant is for 0 to 8. So outside of the 0 to 8, that means you're working with families, parents, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, and uncles who have children 0 to 8. Or you're working with parenting teams. So teen pregnancy populations, a perfect example. You could be working with youth if they have babies 0 to 8. So you're supporting the parents. Again, you're supporting the family and how they support their 0 to 8 child. But this grant is for 0 to 8, how we support families and children 0 to 8. So we understand that many of the applicants, probably the majority of the applicants who are applying to us, will be serving a broader range, but the grant, this grant, is only for 0 to 8.
So can you use, with a program like that, can you use the money that's funded specifically for the 0 to 8 portion of that program?
Right. You are only supporting the 0 to 8 portion. You could have and for example, our Promise Neighborhood is from cradle to career. This grant, the Reading and Beyond received a grant in 2012, and we are only funding the 0 to 8 of their entire continuum. Okay, I think we're a little over time, so you please feel free to email us any additional questions that are thought of after the session. We will be providing a recording of this session by next Friday on the website with the handout and the PowerPoint. And let's see, do we have another one? Must we do? I think that's it. I think we have addressed all of the questions that have been submitted to us, and anything that we have already received, I think, came up in the questions today. So please feel free to give me a call, email if you want to flesh something out. I would say do it sooner rather than later, because we have a pretty quick turnaround for the deadline, and I would be happy to sit down with you and talk through anything that has come up with you and your partners. But please contact me as soon as you can. Thank you all for the time. I apologize for going over a little bit. It was important for us to get through all your questions. We appreciate your efforts and everything that you're doing in the community, and the foundation certainly is here to try to support your success. Have a good afternoon, and please, again, feel free to contact me after this to submit any questions. Thanks. Have a good afternoon.